Blake Griffin, one of the best in-game dunkers of our generation. 6-time All-Star, 2011 Slam Dunk Contest champion, career averages of 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. He signed a 5-year, $171 million max contract with the Clippers in 2017. And now, probably the 5th option on the Brooklyn Nets. So how'd we get here? It seemed like in the blink of an eye, Blake went from the conversation of best power forward in the league to 12 points per game. One of the most dangerous dunkers in the league too, hasn't registered a dunk since 2019. And now, March 8th, 2021, Griffin has officially signed a veteran minimum $1.2 million contract with the Brooklyn Nets, where he'll likely be the 5th option behind Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and sharpshooter Joe Harris. So today, I want to quickly run through all the events that occurred from then till now. How exactly did Blake end up in this new reduced role, and what should we expect from him moving forward? And in the comments, I want y'all to give me your prediction if Griffin helps push the Nets to a championship this year. So let's start from the beginning.
With the first pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Blake Griffin.
And although he had to miss his entire first year due to a broken kneecap, Blake would quickly live up to the hype of a first overall pick. The star potential we saw from his days at Oklahoma translated to Rookie of the Year in 2011. His first season averages being 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. Another huge positive, he started and played in all 82 games, was voted as an All-Star as a rookie, and as a bonus, had one of the most memorable dunk contest performances in recent years. So although the Clippers only had an increase of 3 wins from the season prior, they had their confirmation that Blake Griffin was the star of the franchise for years to come. That offseason, the Clippers wasted no time to pair Blake with another star. December 14, 2011, the Clippers acquired Chris Paul in a trade with the New Orleans Hornets, and thus, Lob City was born.
I think I got my swagger back.
Now, if you remember, the 2011-2012 season was shortened due to the NBA lockout. 66 total games were played, all of which Blake was healthy for. He posted 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, alongside his new teammate Chris Paul, who notched 20 and 9 per game. The NBA's newest dynamic duo took the lead by storm, as they quickly became one of the must-watch teams in basketball. By the end of the regular season, in just 1 year, we saw the Clippers go from the 13th seed in the West to the 5th seed with a record of 40-26. This was the franchise's first playoff appearance since 2006, and after an exciting 7-game series win over the Grizzlies in the first round, they were then swept in the conference semifinals by an experienced Spurs team. All in all, a successful first season for the New Clippers. The next season, the Clippers would make the postseason again, this time as the 4th seed with a record of 56-26. Once again, facing the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round, Blake would suffer a severe ankle sprain in practice prior to Game 5. Because of this, his availability would be limited for the Clippers, and they would go on to drop games 5 and 6, losing the series 4-2. A tough blow after staying healthy enough to play in 80 regular season games. Jump to the 2013-2014 season, the Clippers would acquire head coach Doc Rivers, who they hoped would take the franchise to the promised land, similar to his days in Boston. His first season in charge resulted in the 3rd seed in the West, as Blake would once again play in 80 games. But the Clippers would fall short of their ultimate postseason goal, losing in the second round to the 2nd seed Thunder. Up until now, Blake Griffin's availability from 2010 to 2014 is often overlooked, due to his injury-riddled career to come. Over the next 3 seasons, the Clippers wouldn't ever make it past the second round of the playoffs. And in those years, Blake would miss a total of 83 games due to a staph infection in his elbow, a partial quadricep tear, a fractured hand, another knee surgery to remove loose bodies, and then a toe injury to his plantar plate. All those injuries required surgery, and the days of Blake of playing in 80 games or even 70 games were over. But this didn't stop the Clippers from offering him the max contract in 2017. Owner Steve Ballmer had locked in the 28-year-old All-Star for another 5 years worth $171 million. 4 months passed, and Blake suffered yet another knee injury, this time being an MCL strain which ruled him out for a month. Then a month later, just 6 months after signing his new contract, Blake was traded to the Detroit Pistons for Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, Boban Marjanovic, and a couple future draft picks. It was clear the Clippers were all in on completely restructuring the roster, as they had traded Chris Paul to the Rockets earlier in the year and had plans to move DeAndre Jordan soon after. In such a short time after signing his new contract, the trade came as a surprise to most fans around the league, including Blake. Griffin said,
"Yeah, shocked is a good way to put it. I didn't know anything. I pretty much found out when everybody else found out. So, yeah, it just kind of took a second to realize, okay, like everything's changing, you know."
So now in Detroit for the remainder of the 2017-2018 season, he played in 25 games, averaging 19 points and 6 rebounds. After the Pistons missed the playoffs, it was clear Blake came into next season with something to prove, kind of like a revenge tour. Blake had arguably his best season ever in 2019, putting up a career-high 24.5 points per game, along with 7.5 rebounds and 5 assists. On top of that, he played in 75 games, which is just as impressive, and it helped him make his case to make the All-NBA third team. In addition, his first game back in LA was one to remember, when he dropped 44 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. But the biggest headline for that game came in the pregame warm-ups.
You need to know about the situation still being icy. That's the owner of the Clippers, Steve Ballmer, looking to shake hands and exchange pleasantries with Blake Griffin after his pregame warm-up. Blake wanted no parts of it.
So everything seemed to be going pretty great for Blake on his new team. Not only was he playing the best basketball of his career, but the Pistons were on track to make the playoffs as the 8th seed. And then, with the first round playoff matchup up against the first seed Bucks, it was announced that Griffin would miss his first 2 games due to left knee soreness. He had a nagging knee injury towards the end of the season that just seemed to get worse and worse over time, even though he was told playing on it wouldn't further the injury. According to him, if it was his choice, he would have played in the first 2 games. So by game 3, with the Pistons down 0-2, Blake got his wish as he willed himself to play while hurt. Wearing a noticeably bulky knee brace, he played in 31 minutes, posting 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in a loss. And by game 4, Blake's knee finally had enough when he fell to the ground after a dunk. It was a heroic decision to play on one leg and do everything possible to help his team win. Unfortunately, that heroic decision may have cost him his final days of being an NBA All-Star. After the Bucks swept the Pistons, Blake had surgery on his left knee during the offseason. He missed the first 10 games of the 2019-2020 season, then went on to play in just 18 games before requiring yet another left knee surgery. In those 18 games, Blake was averaging 15 points and 4 rebounds, both the lowest of his career at the time. Recovering from surgery had him out for the year, which leads us to the current 2020-2021 season. Blake started the year healthy, but the Pistons didn't want to rush him back too quickly. They decided to rest him on select nights when they played back-to-back games. In just 20 games played this year, Blake was putting up a career-low 12 points per game. Then, midway through February, it was announced that the Pistons would be sitting Griffin the remainder of the season as they figure out potential trade or buyout options for the former All-Star. Not even a month later, March 5th, it was reported that him and the Pistons had reached a buyout agreement, as he would surrender $13 million remaining on his massive contract. At this point, rumors had started that the Brooklyn Nets were the frontrunner to sign Griffin, given a buyout had taken place. Then, just days later, March 8th, it was official. Blake Griffin is a Brooklyn Net, signed to a $1.2 million deal for the rest of the season. So here we are, Blake 32 years old after a seemingly endless list of career injuries. To his credit, he's been able to bounce back from these injuries time and time again, up until recently. That being said, it wouldn't surprise me to see Blake find success in his new role. They say playing next to great players makes the game easier. As this will be his first time in his NBA career, he won't be the focal point for opposing defenses. On top of that, he's reunited with his former Lob City teammate DeAndre Jordan, so the chemistry between those two bigs is already there. In addition, Blake won't have that same pressure he used to be healthy for every game. With such a deep team in a reduced role, he can take as much time as he wants to listen to his body should any injuries show up before playoff time. Let's not forget, Blake just had the best individual season of his career 2 seasons ago. Even though he's not the same high flyer we'll all remember him for, he's still a skilled big man with solid footwork and an underrated passing ability. Finding consistency again with his jumper is really where the Nets could become borderline unbeatable, as he'll more than likely get the best looks of his career playing next to 3 superstars. So that's the rundown on how 6-time All-Star Blake Griffin ended up as a role player on the Nets. For now, it's understood that Blake will begin his Nets career off the bench, as head coach Steve Nash will have his plate full trying out different lineups before the playoffs. Nets fan or not, I think we're all rooting for him to have a healthy run on his new team. And something tells me it won't be long before Blake registers his first in-game dunk since 2019.